Hello and welcome back to part 2 of working with the quadratic equation. Okay, so for this we need to make sure we have it in the ax squared plus bx plus c equals form, or plus c equals 0 form, where a has the x squared, b has the x, and c is just a regular number. X squared, we see a coefficient of 1, okay, and then we see that we're out of place because we're not equal to 0. So to get this equation equal to 0, let's add 3 to both sides of the equation. So we're going to be left with x squared plus 3x minus 10 equals 0. So let's now denote what a is. A is going to be equal to 1. B is going to be equal to 3. And C is going to be equal to a negative 10. Okay, so now let's write our equation of x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So now let's start plugging in. We have x equals negative b, which is 3, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 3, minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is a negative 10, all over 2 times a, which in this case is 1. Okay, so let's actually go through and simplify. So we'll have x equals negative 3, because negative times 3 is negative 3, plus or minus the square root of 9, or 3 squared is 9. Okay, and we're going to have 4 times, or negative 4 times 1 times negative 10. That's going to give us a positive 40. All over 2 times 1 is 2. Let's go through and break it down even farther. Of x equals negative 3 plus or minus what's actually happening inside the radical. 9 plus 40 is 49. Okay, and for this next part to break down the radical, we have x equals negative 3 plus or minus. What is the square root of 49? That's going to be 7 all over 2. So now what you can do is break this into 2 separate pieces of x equals negative 3 plus 7 over 2, and have x equals I tell you what, let's break it down here. So we'll have x equals also a negative 3 minus 7 divided by 2. From top, for this first part, negative 3 plus 7 is positive 4 over 2, which will simplify simply to 2. And on this bottom one we have a negative 3 minus 7 is a negative 10 on top with the negative 2 on bottom, giving you a negative 5. So your answers for this include x equals 2 and x equals negative 5. Okay, and for our last example using the quadratic equation, let's make sure we have our ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0 form. So we want 0 on the right side. We do not have that, so we need to get the 14x on the other side by subtracting it. Okay, so when we do that, I believe we'll see we have 6x squared minus 14x plus 2 equals 0. So we have our a, b, negative 14, and c is 2, with a being 6. Okay, so now you could simplify, or you could just plug her straight into the quadratic equation of x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac So now let's go through, and I'm actually going to write every variable with an open set of parentheses, and then go through and fill those in just a second. So b belongs here, and we know that b is negative 14. b also belongs here, which we know is a negative 14 again. A belongs beside the negative 4, and it is a 6. And finally we have C goes here, which is 2. And on bottom we have 2 times A, which in this case will be 6 again. Let's go through and simplify. So we have x equals a positive 14 plus or minus negative 14 squared will be 196 minus 4 times 6 times 2, it's 24 times 2, or 48, over 2 times 6, which is 12. Okay, if we want to simplify, you can say x equals 14 plus or minus the square root of 148 divided by 12. And if you wanted to, you could try to simplify 148, but for this purposes, we can say that we have the quadratic equation solved.